All right, let's jump right into this explainer by tackling a massive financial trap that so many people fall into, and that is trying to use a single financial tool for every single purpose in life. Welcome to our deep dive into mastering financial balance. Today, we're really unpacking the true and honestly often misunderstood relationship between saving and investing. Because if you get this wrong, it's going to cost you dearly, but if you get it right, it completely changes everything.
So picture this. Imagine you're packing for two drastically different journeys. You've got a quick weekend trip across town, and then you've got a months-long cross-continent expedition. Obviously, you wouldn't pack the exact same bag for both of those trips, right? Yet, when it comes to money, we completely ignore this logic. We either hoard cash out of pure fear, or we invest every single penny and leave absolutely no safety net. And both of those extremes create massive blind spots. The crucial takeaway here is that understanding the difference between these tools will completely transform your financial future. You see, saving and investing aren't competitors. They aren't fighting for your paycheck. They're actually teammates, working together to build your life. The absolute smartest financial plans out there rely on this one simple truth. You really don't have to choose just one.
Okay, part one, the two financial tools. Let's ground this with a real-world example and meet Sarah and James.
So both Sarah and James are 27 years old. They're both super responsible and they both actively avoid unnecessary debt, but they have incredibly distinct approaches. Sarah believes that cash is king, so literally every extra dollar she has goes straight into the vault. James, on the other hand, keeps a solid emergency reserve, but then he funnels the rest of his money into diversified index funds. And here's the thing, only James realizes that different financial goals demand completely different tools. It's kind of like, imagine you're building a house. You open up your toolbox, and inside there is nothing but a hammer. No screwdriver, no saw, zero wrenches. Could you still build the house? I mean, maybe, but it would be incredibly difficult and structurally terrifying. Saving and investing are distinct tools. Trying to force one to do the exact job of the other, it just doesn't work.
Moving on to Section 2, Protection versus Growth. Let's take a look at where our money actually lives and thrives.
Picture a random, rainy Tuesday. Sarah is driving, and boom, her transmission suddenly dies. It's a massive, totally unexpected bill, but because she has money sitting safely in cash, it's really just an inconvenience. It's not a full-blown life crisis. Her savings essentially act as an umbrella. That money isn't there to magically multiply, it's there to protect her from the elements.
Now on the flip side, James treats his long-term money totally differently. He treats it like a garden. He looks at his retirement, which is, decades away, and he plants those funds like seeds. He knows that in some years, violent storms are going to roll through and damage his plants, but he just keeps watering them. He completely understands that while the storms are inevitable, patient investments are meant for distant goals. Real growth just takes time.
And this leads us to a really brilliant analogy from our source material. Think of your money exactly like you think of your groceries. Your fresh vegetables, which represent the cash you need soon, belong in the refrigerator so you have immediate access. But your ice cream? That's the money you won't need for decades. That absolutely belongs in the freezer, preserved for the distant future. Just as you'd never leave a pint of ice cream sitting out on the kitchen counter, the final destination of your money dictates the tool you need to use.
All right, let's jump to Section 3, Weathering Financial Storms. Because let's face it, every great story needs an antagonist. Let's fast forward about 5 years. Sarah's savings balance has ticked up slightly thanks to some interest, but she's now facing the ultimate silent wealth killer, inflation. She realizes she's essentially walking up a downward moving escalator. Even though she's putting in the effort and moving, she's not actually making any progress. Yes, her savings are perfectly safe from stock market crashes, absolutely. But inflation is quietly devouring her future purchasing power.
Meanwhile, James is facing a much louder and frankly scarier storm, market volatility. When the market sharply drops, the urge to panic sell is incredibly human. We all feel it. But James relies on 3 strict rules. First, he remembers his 30-year timeline, not the last 30 days. Second, he absolutely locks down his instinct to panic sell. And third, he keeps investing every single month. He knows that market tantrums are literally just the price of admission for long-term growth.
Which brings us to Section 4, Building Your Financial Bridge. Let's look at how all of this compounds over time.
When we stretch this timeline out over a 20-year period, the math is just undeniable. In year 1, they both establish great responsible habits. By year 5, inflation is testing Sarah,
And by year 10, severe volatility tests James. But by year 20, James captures massive compound growth. He didn't get rich overnight. He just gave his money enough time to actually work. Sarah, meanwhile, has an ironclad emergency fund for sure, but her long-term wealth is completely stagnant.
Think of your financial life like riding a bicycle. Your savings are your brakes. They keep you safe, and they handle the sudden, unexpected stops of life. Your investments, those are your pedals. They are what actually propel you forward toward your long-term goals. Now, would you rip the brakes off your bike just because they slow you down? Or would you take off the pedals just because the brakes are technically safer? Of course not. You absolutely need both.
So together, these two tools build a stable bridge to your future. Savings are what allow you to stand safely right where you are today. Investments are the steps that actually carry you across the chasm to tomorrow. Without savings, one unexpected gust of wind is going to knock you right off that bridge. But without investing, you simply never reach the other side.
It really all boils down to this one simple, honestly beautiful truth about knowing exactly when each tool belongs in your life. Save enough to sleep peacefully. Invest enough to give your future a chance to grow. Neither tool is inherently better than the other. They just solve entirely different problems. So, to wrap up this explainer, I want you to take a hard look at your own toolbox right now. Are you still trying to frame an entire house with a single hammer? Ask yourself today, do you have enough in the fridge to survive today and enough in the freezer to actually thrive tomorrow? The tools are sitting right there in front of you. The only question is, do you know which one you're going to pick up next?